you understand happened last night in New York. And I've been saying this since Mom Donnie ran for mayor. I'd be like, hey, guys, I'm going to talk about the New York mayor's race. And the rest of the country would be like,
shut up, will you shut up?
And I'd say, hey, I know you don't care who my mayor is, but understand the watershed moment Mom Donnie represented within establishment politics is that Democrats know socialism is bad and it's killed everybody and starved them to death all around the world. I mean, do they want big government? Yeah. They don't want it so big that they have to kneel blindfolded in front of a ditch and get shot when things go sideways, like you're living in a third world country. Like, guys, socialism is really, really bad. Like, I should support it as a chubby guy because I might finally lose the weight if I was standing in a bread line for 90 hours a week. Okay, that'd be the one shot you got me to avoid carbs. Honestly, I bet you the wardrobe team voted for Mom Donnie. You're like, this might be the only angle we got to, slim and fail it down. Because they are chasing me through the lobby with that Ozempic needle right now. You walk in the door, you're like, wow! It's like playing paintball. I gotta just run. But the point is, it kills everybody. It crushes everything it touches. And it just went 3 for 3 last night in New York City. And I said this at the time Mom Donnie was running. I said, hey, you guys don't care about New York, but if he wins, the Democrats who know socialism is bad, they're still going to embrace him. Because if that proves as a viable path to power, that means they can fundraise off of socialism.
We're paying in cash.
It's their favorite thing in the world is to tell you, the elites have too much money, so give it to us, the elites, so we can go fix your problems. No, you don't understand. It's like Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders burst onto the scene when he was just like a little club band before he was playing arenas, and it was the millionaires and the billionaires and the trillionaires are the problem, the 1%. But then I became a millionaire, so I am only mad at the billionaires and the trillionaires. And that's what it becomes. But the point is, it's all champagne socialism. Where was Mom Donnie the last 2 weeks? Hanging out at the Knick game for $40,000 a seat? Going to the World Cup? What do you think that's running them? Oh, my God. But the point is, every one of these people, AOC was flying around on the Bernie Sanders private jet. The point is, if it's viable, the Democrats don't have anything right now. They've spent the last 10 years of their lives just calling anyone who disagrees with them a racist. That was the strategy.
Democrats just call everyone racist so they go along with their stupid ideas.
And it really worked in the beginning of social media because everybody was so scared of the outrage mob and they didn't want to be on the wrong side of it. They didn't understand what it was. They didn't necessarily agree with it. They just knew they didn't want to lose their job that day because 10,000 people were tagging their employer in a comment saying, you've got a racist working for you at Domino's. Okay, I wrote a whole book about this called Cancel Culture Dictionary. It's a New York Times bestseller. I am the only community college graduate to make the bestseller list. Listen, folks, you don't have to read them to write them. That's the thing about books. But the point is, okay, that social media stampede crushed a lot of people and pistol whipped them into compliance with a lot of dopey Democrat ideas. Think about men competing in women's sports. Okay, we knew all the way back in the beginning of time there were biological differences between men and women. Mr. Rogers' most famous song of all time, it's called Everybody's Fancy. He won multiple Emmys for singing this song. Mr. Rogers, he was played by Tom Hanks in a movie. Tom Hanks, the guy who plays Woody in Toy Story. I mean, he can't get any more mainstream than that. They weren't calling him a radical, transphobic bigot. Here's Mr. Rogers.
Boys are boys from the beginning. If you were born a boy, you stay a boy. Girls are girls right from the start. If you were born a girl, you stay a girl and grow up to be a lady.
Could you imagine Fred Rogers said that now in a Democrat primary? They'd be like,
he should be behind bars.
They would lock him up, okay? If he said something as hateful and crazy as this?
Only girls can be the mommies. Only boys can be the daddies. Yes, sir.
Oh, my God. They would have forced crying circles like it was a North Korean funeral for stating the biological accuracy. If you look at the highest grossing comedies of the 80s, one of the top 3 was Kindergarten Cop. Do you know what the biggest laugh in the movie was? It was a statement that would get this actor arrested if he said it to a Democrat in this day and age.
Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina.
But do you understand? although that literally brought down the House, you can serve in the House of Representatives if you now disagree with that. Okay, and the reason they made the traction is because for 4 or 5 years when they started to implement these radical ideas, there was such a vicious blowback against anybody who argued against them that it became mainstream based on nothing more than the venom supporting it and the apathy opposing it. You know, Riley Gaines, who's very famous now, had to swim with Leah Thomas. Leah Thomas was Will Thomas, 472nd ranked male swimmer in the world, okay, but jumped in the pool as a woman, okay, and made it all the way to number 1. And one thing I will say, I know that's ridiculous. There's obviously a biological advantage, but we should also factor in the reality that Leah Thomas, the only female swimmer that had to battle her fellow opponents as well as shrinkage. But there she was, hopping into the pool, going for the gold. And you couldn't argue with it, or you were a lunatic, radical, trans, genocide. Think about Serena Williams, the greatest female athlete ever to live. She was on David Letterman. She was asked about playing an exhibition against Andy Murray at a time when she was the number 1 ranked female tennis player of all time, and Andy Murray wasn't even a top 10. Here is her reaction to an exhibition against Andy Murray.
For me, tennis and men's tennis and women's tennis are completely almost 2 separate sports. So I'm like, if I were to play Andy Murray, I would lose 6-0, 6-0 in 5 to 6 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, because it's true. It's true. It's a completely different sport. The men are a lot faster, and they serve harder, they hit hard. It's just a different game, and I love to play women's tennis, and I only want to play girls because I don't want to be embarrassed. I would not do the tour. I wouldn't do Billie Jean any justice. So Andy, stop it. Yeah. I'm not gonna let you kill me.
It's the greatest female athlete to ever live, the most decorated, compensated female athlete to ever live, saying men's sports and women's sports are completely different sports, and she would get killed in 5 seconds. And if she said that right now, she'd get beat up by a woman named Beth. Beth is upset with you. Beth would like to talk to you in the ladies' room. You got to pretend it's normal. But that's how they got their way, and that's what's happening with socialism now. Okay, a lot of people are apathetic as this stuff infiltrates their lower-level elections because they're called a racist or an Islamophobe if they push back against it. That's what they're doing with all the Somali fraud. Like, hey, you guys are just mad because they're Somali. We're like, no, because the money they stole, it was supposed to go to other Somalis. That's how entitlement programs work. They get defrauded by members of the community they were meant for. Okay, when you go into an area where there's extreme poverty and there's a heavy ethnic concentration, that means whatever that ethnicity happens to be, the money was meant for them. But lo and behold, someone comes along and exploits the program. You're looking up for the Somalis who got ripped off. Okay, and the Democrats are telling you you are a racist for doing it.
I'm sick and tired of all this bullshit.
And it's been effective enough that the combination of catering to losers, which is what socialism does, okay, and weaponizing a lot of these anti-Western beliefs. One of the girls who won in the primary last night is the head of an organization that says their number 1 priority is to eliminate Western civilization. I'm going to play you a clip a little bit later on. The girl Mamdani endorsed flat out says that America deserved 9/11.
It's people with a dirty mind that think like that.
But the one thing all of these people have in common, besides the fact that they're nutbags, is that they're winning. So you understand last night, that's where we started this conversation. I was explaining to you that New York is so pivotal because although you don't care about it around the country, and I don't blame you, okay, it's nowhere in the world would there be a guy who was better off if only he spent a little more time in New York City. No one's writing that country song. You know, if only my kid saw a pantless time traveler on the way to school in the morning, that would get him an education. That's what we have here in New York. But the point is, all of the political money is in New York. It's in New York, it's in LA, it's in Washington. Okay, most of the money funding your local congressional race, wherever you're listening in the country right now, comes from somebody in New York, some billionaire, some NGO. Same with Texas. James Tallarico, all of his money is coming from LA and New York. All of it. So you understand New York matters because it is the epicenter of money. And if you know anything about politics, money is the be-all and all.
It costs a lot of money to run for political office.
A lot of money, Johnny Carson. So the point is, okay, who wins in New York oftentimes dictates who gets the money everywhere else. So in our elections last night, we had a slew of candidates endorsed by Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries. What do they both have in common? Idiots. But you understand, they represent the establishment wing of the Democrat Party. That's the common thread there. Hakeem Jeffries, Speaker of the House. Chuck Schumer is a majority leader, minority leader in the Senate all the time for the Democrats. He's been in Washington since Washington, like literally. I think he graduated. I think he was a junior when George was a senior. But the point is, okay, it's been around 1,000 years. Those guys had three candidates last night that represented the establishment wing of the Democratic Party, the more moderate wing, if you will. Okay, they went up against three candidates endorsed by Mamdani and AOC. Now, you understand what they're ultimately fighting for in victory is the funding direction of the Democrat Party.
We're paying in cash.
And the Schumer establishment wing, what they tell you is the moderate wing, okay, they went 0 for 3. Here is Van Jones at CNN acknowledging this one moment in time, as Whitney Houston once sang. Clip 2.
Well, New York City matters because the two most exciting left-wing candidates are here, AOC and Mamdani, but also this is the stronghold for the establishment, Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries. This is a battle between the establishment and this insurgency, and the roof is collapsing on the Democratic Party establishment tonight.
He ain't wrong. Here is NBC News telling you it is a political earthquake. Clip 1.
This is something of a political earthquake. NBC News projects that in the 13th Congressional District of New York, challenger Daria-Liza Avila Chevalier has defeated five-term incumbent Adriano Espaillat. Espaillat, the chair of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, had run with the endorsement. The Democratic leader in the House, Hakeem Jeffries, with the endorsement. The governor of New York, Kathy Hochul, with endorsements from a number of prominent Democrats, but not the mayor of New York City. Zoran Mamdani instead endorsed Daria-Liza Avila Chevalier. She is aligned with the Democratic Socialists of America, and she has defeated a five-term incumbent.
A five-term incumbent. Not that the incumbent was any good. Like Dan Goldman got beat last night. Dan Goldman's a loser. He's a guy that's been calling Trump Hitler since the beginning of time. Suing to throw him off the ballot, lock him up, to protect democracy, that whole thing.
Democrats are so full of crap.
Okay, but you understand this is to give you an idea of what is happening. Like Claire Valdez, here she is telling you Palestine and abolishing ICE. That's what people voted for. Here it is, clip 11.
Palestine is on the ballot. Woo! Tenants are on the ballot. Abolishing ICE is on the ballot. And we have a world to win. Because when we fight, we win.
All right. Except today is probably, with the exception of Mamdani's election, the greatest day to own a U-Haul company in the history of New York City. Because this is actually bad. Everybody's a socialist. Everybody hates the cops. They want to abolish ICE. There's so many clips I could play you. Here they are telling you that deportations are wrong and can't happen with them in power. This is clip 14.
All deportation is wrong. Is that something you still believe?
I still believe that all deportations are wrong.
That would seem to also include people who were convicted of breaking U.S. criminal law. Is the deportation of those people wrong?
Yes.
Thousands of volunteers have knocked on 200,000 doors. That is how we abolish ICE, that is how we end the genocide, and that is how we guarantee housing and Medicare for all.
I've been calling to abolish ICE since 2018 in the first Trump administration. Congressman Goldman started calling to abolish ICE in the last month or two.
Oh, good God.
Thank you for the education, gentlemen. We've just received a PhD in stupidity.
Did you hear the one woman? That's the only way we're going to end the genocide. What is the genocide? Like in what you call Palestine, the population has quadrupled since the year 2005. Most genocides go the other way. when it comes to ICE committing genocide against what? No one's being killed. No one's being targeted for their ethnicity, which would be the technical definition. The only deaths being caused by mass migration are, yes, the 300,000 kids who died from fentanyl poisoning deaths. Lord knows what happened to the 500,000 kids that get trafficked across the border. You know, you hear these horrible stories about people suffocating in tractor trailers getting smuggled into the country. The point is there's a real humanitarian crisis with an open border, but ICE's job is to find the worst of the worst of the worst, the child sex traffickers, the rapists, and the murderers. And I just played you a montage of 4 different Democrats, all of whom just got nominated, who flat out say if you're one of those murderers, you shouldn't be kicked out of the country? Then I guess the only solution would be to deport you. You know my next guest as a Fox News political analyst. I know him as our senior correspondent to Hennessy, founder of the Caldwell Institute.org. I had to take one shot at him. Gianno Caldwell is here. Hey, buddy.
Great to be with you.
I know there's a heavy day for you. It's the 4-year anniversary of your brother getting killed. And that's beyond heavy. And, you know, we try to be a show that offers hope and direction to the people who listen. But I would imagine a day like today is just tough regardless of that mission.
No, 100%, Jimmy. And thank you for having me. And thank you for always being supportive of what I've done to advance my brother's legacy, whether it be the Caldwell Institute for Public Safety or covering stories where families have experienced violence and lost loved ones. This is a very heavy day. This is the day 4 years ago where I got the call that my innocent teenage baby brother Christian was murdered in Chicago. And since then, I've been out for justice in many ways, through many facets. But certainly, I can always go back to the Fox News channel and our family. They're our colleagues who have been so supportive and always pushing and allowing for me to tell Christian's story on our air before millions. So I can't be more thankful and remembrance of his legacy to what the Fox News family has done on behalf of my family. So I can't thank everyone enough.
For sure. You know, we love you and we support everything you do. My frustration is I see that embrace you get from the Fox News viewers. We're tagged on a lot of the same message boards. You know, I see the reaction to you on the TV show. But I feel like there's a limit to that in the sense that most other networks and most politicians are really indifferent to the people like yourself who've had to go through this. Because it's not necessarily getting better in Chicago right now, but they just passed a bill, Brandon Johnson anyway, about trans femicide. And thankfully, by the grace of God, 0 trans people were killed last year in Chicago. We don't wish them any ill will. But the number of people that were killed in Chicago, 462 human beings, just don't seem to be a priority. Like, why is that?
Yeah, and we see consistently with these mayors and governors of these major liberal cities and states, the virtual signaling. Mm-hmm. Clearly, obviously, we wish no harm to anyone, no matter what your life is, what you've done. That's terrible. I don't want to see anyone get killed or murdered. Mm-hmm. But let's focus on the real injustice that is happening in the city of Chicago and across the state of Illinois every day. You have people who are dying at the hands of Black-on-Black crime, migrant crime, any facet of crime whatsoever. And there's been soft on crime policies that have been enacted by the Johnson administration and the J.B. Pritzker administration that have endangered the lives, and actually policy that has led to the ramification of murders throughout our city, the city of Chicago, that being. And you can't just stop there. You got to look at places like New York. You got people like Mondani in there, Kathy Hochul, in California as well. We've seen failure across the spectrum, especially when progressives get in office who choose to do things like defunding our police, giving criminals a slap on the wrist and releasing them back onto our streets to commit more and more terror. That's why I started the Caldwell Institute for Public Safety at caldwellinstitute.org to push back against just that. If for anything, to ensure that my brother's legacy is a steady reminder that soft on crime policies does have real results. And that's usually the lives lost of our loved ones, and we can't allow that to continue.
Yeah, it's really heartbreaking stuff, man. And you're right that it deserves a stiffer resistance that it's getting. It's CaldwellInstitute.org. You know, when I think of sanctuary city specifically, you know, you mentioned that here in New York. Everybody who won a local election last night wants to abolish ICE. But what ICE is actually doing is getting rid of the people in this country illegally that are committing the murders and the violent crimes. So in a roundabout way, isn't a guy like Mamdani being indifferent to the well-being of minority communities by vowing to protect ICE and the criminals, or at least, you know, protect the criminals from ICE?
Right. You're exactly right. And I'll tell you, I'm a big supporter of ICE because ICE does a very serious job, one that is of national security notoriety. We've seen, as Trump has mentioned, it is a massive part of the reason that he won in the 2024 election, talking about an open border and what that actually means for the American citizens. We're talking about over 100,000 people have died over an overdose of a drug. We know that comes through the southern border. We know that there's been an explosion of human trafficking of young people that have come across that border. And what does ICE do? They ensure to go get those folks out of the communities who are committing these heinous acts of violence and crime against our American citizens. It doesn't matter if it's Americans or not. It could be one of their people. But still in all, we don't allow that. We shouldn't allow that. We should be putting those folks, deporting those people out of the country. And there used to be a time, whether you were a Democrat or Republican, you agreed. It's just basic logic. People are coming into our country committing crimes. We need to deport them. We need to lock them up. We need to get them out of here. But there's a particular party on the Democrat side, the progressives or the Democratic Socialists of America, who have been advocating for these policies, which not only hamstring Americans, but lead to the death of many Americans. And this is the unfortunate reality that we continue to find ourselves in. And if we don't have voices like mine and others who can stand up and speak out against what we've been seeing, it's just going to continue and get worse.
Amen. Talking to Gianno Caldwell. It's the CaldwellInstitute.org. CaldwellInstitute.org. If you want to go there and help make a donation. Today's obviously a really heavy day. You know, when we think about this, and I think about you because I've known you as long as anybody here at Fox News, and the thing that makes you who you are is your humanity. Like, we're real people. Like, when we're laughing, it's real, raw, and funny. You know, when we're beat up about things, it's, you know, we're beat up. You know, you really feel it. It's a visceral thing. And in a moment like right now, I think of how many Gianno Caldwells are out there that have had to deal with this and have not been acknowledged or heard by society. I mean, so many of the stories that I cover here in Chicago, the poor young girl who got killed on the pier, okay, and then we immediately get told we're racist if we want to support ICE and do something about it, but we're actually protecting minority communities is the point. And that's what's driving me so crazy is I feel like when you see Democratic Socialists chanting abolish ICE, there's a room full of people chanting right along with them that might be voting against their own interests. And it's certainly, you know, but to take the racial component out of it, and you know, of the minority community, it's the woke white people who pretend they're here to help the minority community that are the ones championing the policies that are harming them the most. I mean, is that, would you say, if we were really just guesstimating here, is the actual biggest political threat to the minority community the woke white liberal? Like, what do you think it is? Beyond the criminal, which is obvious. Well,
I mean, I do think it's progressives in general, no matter what color they are. But you do see the white woke liberal who will advocate for policies that, like defunding the police, for example. And when you go into these high crime areas, they want to see more police.
Thank
you.
Like
their communities are experiencing challenges like no other, having drug dealers sell drugs across the street from where they live, or gang activity that happens, or shots being fired at any and all times. And that doesn't mean just at night.
Yeah.
That could be at 8 o'clock in the morning or 12:30 in the afternoon. This is where this violence is taking place. It's no longer centralized in particular areas, especially when you think about places like Chicago. We've experienced it all over the country, but I got to say there is good news. When President Trump came back into office, we now see the lowest homicide rates in over 100 years.
Yeah.
So that's positive developments. And there's been areas like D.C. and Memphis where he's come in. I'm in D.C. right now, actually, for the memory of my brother, meeting with legislators, etc. It's a very clean place. It's now a very safe city because of the efforts of the Donald Trump administration. Now, for those mayors who actually want to do good for their citizens, they should work with this administration. They should work with ICE. They should want the funding for their police departments to clean up crime. And for those who refuse to work with the president, and you can name a whole list of these governors and mayors, they're going to continue to see their cities and their jurisdictions in decline. And it's the unfortunate reality of what we've been seeing. It's the unfortunate reality of what we've been seeing, but it's going to continue until they choose better, until the citizens vote them out of office.
It's coming, man. It's coming. And people like you are going to get us there. It's the CaldwellInstitute.org. Listen, man, I know this is a really heavy day. I appreciate you giving us time today, brother. How else can we help?
No, I appreciate your support. Please follow me on social media. Again, the website for the Caldwell Institute for Public Safety is CaldwellInstitute.org. Again, Caldwell, Caldwell, Institute.org. Please support our efforts there and just share the videos. We just released a new video today talking about our 3-year. If you can put that up for the viewers at some point and play that if you can, I appreciate it. And just keep following us as we keep delivering the message. We cannot fall into the soft on crime trap. We cannot be bought out by George Soros-funded progressives. We should not tolerate that. And we've seen, again, the result of their activities. People die when progressives get in office and they enact these policies.
Yeah, and I listen, man, I hate that you have to be this ambassador, but I really appreciate the heroic work you're doing, man. Keep playing good ball out there, okay?
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
You're the best, Jay. Back in action with Danny Polishuck, superstar comedian, going back out on the road. Where do you get tickets to see a guy like Danny?
You can get tickets at DannyComedy.com. I'm going to be in Spokane, Tacoma, Atlantic City next month.
Compton.
AC, baby.
But you are like literally spanning the country. If you're going from Spokane, Washington, back on down to Atlantic City.
It's back-to-back nights, Tacoma, Spokane, and then a few days later.
I love that stretch. So are you doing the comedy club in Spokane?
Yeah.
Those, I've done them both. They're owned by the people who own actually most of the good clubs around the country right now.
They own a bunch
in
of them,
Tulsa, in Oklahoma City, Bricktown Comedy Club. Obviously in Fort Wayne. I love those clubs. I've played them all. They're great. Fantastic. And also the fentanyl is so cheap. You can't say no. I mean, they're pretty much giving it away. But it's DannyComedy.com. DannyComedy.com. If you're listening out there on KTTH.
Come say what's up. Yeah,
I go hang out with Danny.
I've had some listeners come to the shows.
That's always nice. Atlantic City is, I love Atlantic City. I grew up gambling there like 5 nights a week. But I always tell people it's like really funny because if you've ever been to Vegas, every second that you spend at Atlantic City just reminds you that you're not in Vegas.
Well, now they have casinos here.
Yeah, it's everywhere now.
Well, now there's like New York City is, they have the one by the airport. City Field's getting one. So I don't know what that means for Atlantic City long term. Can't be great.
It's weird because I don't know that the beach offering is a high priority. I don't know. Back in the day, like Atlantic City, we're talking 100 years ago, when like the White House sandwich shop first was making its name and people like Joe DiMaggio were eating there and Frank Sinatra's eating there. It's because the people used to go down to Atlantic City like it was Wildwood, New Jersey. They just hang out at the beach. And it was like a resort, like a beach town. And then came the casinos and everything else in the 70s. But that's what was driving a lot of the local economy. And now you're saying those casinos might slow down. The interesting thing about them is they're all owned by the same people who own the casinos here. So it's not like, that Atlantic City Borgata is some mom and pop.
Right. Yeah. It's not like Vegas where there's actual like mom and pop casinos. They're like little.
I love those.
Yeah.
Carson, Nevada.
Sure.
The Carson Nugget. Shout out to Dean and the boys. I love it out there. And I love Atlantic City just the same. My problem with Atlantic City is when I was like a literal open mic comic, I was gambling like 6-7 nights a week. Like I would do 2 shows at an open mic and then drive to Atlantic City. And
2 hours, 3 hours.
All night.
Yeah.
And drive home in the morning, And it's funny. My brother Mike was a city cop. He used to work 8 to 4. So he would work 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. oftentimes I would pick him up at the Midtown South.
Yeah.
And we'd just get on the highway 4 a.m. and go gamble and do like 9 months of damage to my life in 2 hours.
Yeah, that'll do it.
And do you know how I stopped gambling? This is fascinating. I didn't like go to GA or anything.
Yeah.
I didn't get tired of turning tricks.
Ran out of money?
I didn't. No, that's
I'll
funny.
usually
Like
do
socialism. No, I bought a couch at a Levitt's. And there was like the psychology of purchasing something tangible because I had never done that.
Right.
But when Jenny was moving here, we went to Levitt's. We bought a sectional. It was like $600, whatever it was. And in my head, I was like, wow, I'm just going to bring this home and lay around, play video games, watch TV, you know?
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, it clicked on me that I could have stuff if I stopped trying to win stuff.
Right.
Because if you have a gambler's psychology, you go, oh, this $600 is a couch. But if I give it to this Asian blackjack dealer, you know, it could be $6,500.
Right.
You know, cut to me giving handies in the Boardwalk men's room so I can pay for bus fare back.
I mean, that couch is definitely a depreciating asset, especially sure after you're putting some time in on it.
Hey, man, I mean, listen, let me tell you, pal. But yes, everybody thinks they have a gambling problem. You don't have a gambling problem until you've powdered your Adam's apple and thrown out a blind. The rent don't pay itself. But
No.
Danny Polishuck is here.
I think it does now. I think the rent does pay itself now.
The rent does. It's free.
Yeah.
One of the women nominated. I was trying, listen, I did a good job of being redded on these primaries, but there's so many crossover things like she's 32 and never had a job and lives at home. That's also the mayor of Seattle.
Yeah.
And that won again last night. Can I play you some of the clips, guys? The reason Danny and I focus on this is because the people who win in New York in a roundabout way is the power center of liberal politics. This is where a lot of the money comes from.
Yeah.
So if in the beginning, and I was saying this when Mamdani was running, I was saying, hey, nobody around the country cares who the mayor of New York is, but you should. Because if he wins, the money's going to go towards the AOC wing of the party.
Of course.
And not the Schumer-Jeffries wing of the party. And to his credit, Van Jones kind of articulated that last night. Here's Van Jones on CNN, clip 2.
Well, New York City matters because the two most exciting left-wing candidates are here, AOC and Mamdani, but also this is the stronghold for the establishment, Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries. This is a battle between the establishment and this insurgency, and the roof is collapsing on the Democratic Party establishment tonight.
Because all of the Schumer and Jeffries candidates lost.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So you understand, guys, the Schumer and Jeffries candidates are the Nancy Pelosi candidate. you
Yeah.
know?
The establishment kind of Democrats.
The people Obama campaigns for.
Yeah.
Okay, lost to the people Mamdani.
And again, this is I looked at some of the vote totals, you know, and like some of these people got like 8,000 votes, but I think some people don't realize we're like, yeah, no, I vote in the actual election. And you go, no, but it's decided in the primary.
It actually already is.
Yeah.
Because in our city that's that liberal, the liberal's just going to win now.
Yeah, the liberal's going to win, so it's whoever, and they're, you know, some of them won with, like 8,000
Yeah, they're not big turnout votes.
No.
And you know what's funny? Chevalier is a good example of this, and so is Valdez. They did not win in minority communities.
Right.
They won with woke white people.
Yeah.
You know, who jumped in, and that's who's kind of powering this thing.
Great.
Hey, way to go, whites.
I don't know if anybody's been following what happened in the last decade in Canada.
Yeah.
But I lived there for a portion of it. I left. This generally does not work out well.
Danny Polishuck's here. He flee the thing you voted for. He fled it. Here is a montage. I'll give you Claire Valdez, Chevalier, some Mamdani. You know who's also getting back into the game? Remember Jamal Bowman, a congressman who got thrown out of Congress and everybody's
The
racist?
fire alarm guy?
Yeah, fire alarm guy. He's now a DSA chanting his socialism in the house like he's a guy shooting a T-shirt gun at a Knicks game.
Yeah.
Listen to this montage, clip 3.
Abolish ICE. Free Palestine. Organize your union. And join DSA.
We have to use every tool in the toolbox to make sure that we abolish ICE.
It was not the end of a political movement. It was the beginning.
It's socialism in the motherfucking house.
DSA. Democrats.
I mean, this is the new Democratic Party, whether people like it or not.
It was you know, it's funny you say this. So we're talking to Danny Polishuck. Joe Scarborough this morning is trying to explain how it was a good night for the centrists.
Yeah.
You know when they're selling you a new taco, you know when they're selling you a new Taco Bell product. And
Buddy, you're
trying
getting tarred and feathered.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you think you're hanging around Joe Scarborough?
But you know
and Mika are Out.
But he was trying to tell you it was like the new thing. You know when Taco Bell does like, no, you don't understand. The meat's on top of the cheese now.
Yeah.
This is not a Mexican pizza.
Right.
This is a chalupa. You fold it. It's not a pizza anymore. And it was like the same type of logic. I'm like, dude, they're chanting death to Western civilization.
They like the key here is the establishment Democrats didn't hate America.
Uh-huh.
Like they were like, some stuff needs to get fixed, but we love America.
Yeah.
This new wing is like, we hate America. Who's with us? And
they want to.
Not a small amount of people are like, yeah.
You know all those guys that are like Euro travel influencers who are marveling at the size of a soda at Golden
Of course,
Corral?
they're at the Buc-ee's.
Yeah.
They're like, this is a gas station?
I know, and it's funny. But the people who won last night hate those people.
Of course.
Let me give you one. Okay, and this is how a guy like Joe Scarborough should know that the moderates didn't win. The go-to interview last night was Hassan Piker. Now, I don't ever actually play a lot of these clips because I think there's something, a trap the Republicans fall into. Okay, is to young voters, you lose them because you make the liberal side the punk rock side if you try to cancel it.
Yes.
That's one of the reasons Trump had such a good resurgence. Kids my son's age thought that was the punk rock move.
It was.
Because everybody else was like, you're a white supremacist if you vote for that.
Of course.
So now Democrats are nominating guys with actual Nazi tattoos. It's crazy.
It's different.
But here is Hassan Piker, one of the many. You got to draw a distinguishing now. You know, there used to be a time where you could get on the air and be like, oh, he's the guy who said the America deserved 9/11.
Yeah.
That's not a distinction anymore. That's one of a lot of people.
Of course.
But here is Hassan Piker anyway, who's talking about how it's time to change the Democrat Party. And, you know, this is accurate. Clip 7.
I think that people have a lot of hunger for change, necessary change that they want to see. And they're sick and tired of business as usual politics in the Democratic Party. I think Donald Trump represented that change in the Republican Party as well. And he saw tremendous success, as Fox News viewers would know. And I think it's now our time to push for a bold agenda, Medicare for all, end this ceaseless militarism overseas, start spending this money on ourselves. Our productive output should go back to fixing these potholes and making sure that no American sleeps outside every night.
Now you hear that, and it actually sounds reasonable. Like, I don't
Sure.
agree on Medicare for all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you can get on TV with that type of polished message, a lot of people might process that and be like, yeah, not bad. I mean, if you watch this podcast, you'd be like, oh, this,
Of
you know,
course,
it's a
yeah.
totally different animal.
Yeah.
But him being interviewed by Fox, he kind of buttoned it up. But that's what Abigail Spanberger just did down in Virginia. And now she just signed a bill banning your vote. Like, Virginia's now giving the votes based on the popular vote. They're
Really?
not participating in the Electoral College. This is going to get challenged by the Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm.
But you, as a Virginia voter, your vote doesn't matter because the state is outsourcing its electoral votes to whoever wins the popular vote. Because I think Democrats have an advantage there.
Right.
Now, it wouldn't have mattered in 2024, but it would have mattered in other elections.
Sure.
And that's them kind of upending the system. But since you're here as a Canadian, does Medicare for all excite you?
Here's this is my complicated. So I live in Canada. When I lived in Canada, I probably paid similar taxes to New York City, right? And when I was in Toronto, probably similar to New York City. Obviously, way higher in Ontario, Toronto than most places in the United States. But I had. If you don't need a lot of healthcare,
Yeah.
it's good.
Okay.
If you I know plenty of people. They're like, hey, my friend, he tore his rotator cuff and he needed surgery, like a labrum or whatever. And they're like, yeah, we'll see you next year.
Oh,
that's what it's like. That is what it's like. Like if you don't, if you need like the odd checkup or whatever, and there is a whole thing now where people are like, can't find a family doctor. And if you need like an MRI, like there's a lot of stuff where people in my neck of the woods previously would drive to Buffalo and just pay for an MRI.
Yeah.
Because the government would be like, yeah, we can get you an MRI. It'll be 6 months.
Ouch.
And you're like, okay, I can go get one literally right now. I
Yeah,
can just pay
across-
for it
yeah.
across the border. It's $1,500 or something.
Damn.
And you pay for it. So it certainly does not have it has its drawbacks. Also, the notion that like I was always fed the lie in Canada that like nobody here, you're like, if you're poor in America and you get sick, you're
Which is not true.
Tough luck.
Yeah.
Which is not true.
Yes.
That is not true. It's really the only people who are penalized by the system are the middle class.
Yes.
Because once you have any kind of assets,
Mhm.
like then you will get coverage, but then, you know, they're going to come after you.
Yes.
Right? So it's basically everybody in the middle gets screwed.
Mhm.
Everybody on the edges are fine.
Yeah, straight up. We're talking
Yeah.
to Danny Polishuck, DannyJokes.com.
Comedy.
It's DannyComedy.com. It's not as serious there. But, you know, let's lighten the mood anyway, because we got so far
I just
down
think it's this country is way like the healthcare system in this country is just like there's way too many people. It's way too big.
Mm-hmm.
Like to just I don't know.
But-
Like
Yeah.
I'm not
know-
against the notion of some kind of health coverage for all. It's like one of the only countries that doesn't have it.
Yeah, one of the reasons that a lot of people are against it is they feel like it eliminates competition in the marketplace. Like if you actually, like right now, like say Obamacare has a $6 trillion subsidy to healthcare companies, which allows them to keep charging. It's kind of like student loan forgiveness. If they know the government's going to back it up,
the backstop.
raise the rates, baby.
Of course.
You know, if they were competing for your dollar, better care at a more, approachable cost, it might be the answer.
Yeah.
But to lighten it up anyway, since we spent this much time, tell me about the assisted suicide program in Canada.
Not good. So this like barely existed when I was there.
Yeah,
this,
I know.
This is again 10 years of a pretty far left liberal government in Canada. By the time they were out, you literally could get assisted suicide because you had seasonal affective disorder.
Are you serious?
I swear.
So you get depressed in the fall,
and you're like, just wait till the spring. Just wait it out.
and honestly, give me this though, for real. If you had seasonal affective disorder, you want to kill yourself.
Yes.
Is the response time better than the rotator cuff?
Yes, unfortunately.
Really?
It's so crazy.
So if you're pitching a baseball, you're out of luck.
And here's
but if
the
you're
thing.
pitching a fit.
I'm not even against compassionate scenarios where you're like, look, I have a terminal
This guy's
illness.
no quality of life. I get it. Yeah,
like
yeah.
my life is a nightmare,
Yeah.
and the writing's on the wall. Let's just like get
fair.
this over with. Like probably like the Kevorkian style.
Yeah, fair. I get it.
Whatever. But this stuff where they're like, yeah, I'm depressed. You're like, no. Maybe I just don't think that's a great idea.
Yeah, and by the way, if they're letting people kill themselves over depression, like where are the pharmaceutical companies on this? Because they could just be making money selling them packs or whatever the hell they're selling.
You would think so. Yeah, the assistants. I mean, look, the way the United States seems to be trending, this is probably coming here too. But
yeah. Listen, me and Danny, because we do have to take a break, and we're not trying to bum it out.
Yeah.
But the assisted suicide thing is viable. We're in New York. We have a lot of Mets fans listening on WOR.
Rangers fans.
Thank you.